Sit back, relax a little bit. Let me tell you a story. See if yours is anything like mine. Remember when I was a kid? So much better when I popped the lid. Feel the rabble, open it up.
Exactly, listen to Shawnee. Right, and Cash App's the easy way to get money transferred when y'all with friends. So come up into that and then we'll get back to it.
He said, baby, jump in the back, boy. Tailgate crazy.
Oh, better hop on in the back. Tailgate crazy, man. We are riding tonight. What's going on, everybody? You know what it is. It is Sunday night, so that means we're back for another great episode of Fantasy Reports. I'm your bus driver, Cedric Green. I got the co-pilot, Justin. What up, Justin?
Hello. I'm doing well.
it?
It's been a great Sunday so far, and looking to get into this tonight before we get to the question of the week.
It has not been a great Sunday, but we'll keep it there. It's been an all right
Yeah,
Sunday.
we'll try to keep it distracted. We have to think about that. We don't have to.
Yeah, it's been an all right Sunday. I went to Casa Bonita, so I'd never been there. So that was an experience. That was actually pretty
Overall,
cool.
would it be an experience to go and do again, or it was a one and done? What do you think?
I think I would go again. I think maybe the next time though, if I went, it would probably be more so for like margaritas.
Okay, just get your drink on.
Yeah, I wouldn't drive, so I could do some margaritas. But it was a fun experience, and definitely like I think if I had like small kids, it would be fun.
Okay, so it's more of a family environment than it is a date
it's
night
kind
or
of both.
something.
It can be both.
Okay. Cool.
My only thing is it's kind of so dark I could barely read the menus, but
They keep it dark in there.
Well, where you sit and you eat, they keep it dark, and then you walk around from there because you sit and you eat, and you have like an hour and a half to eat. And then
I suppose you gotta keep things moving.
Yeah, and then but then they have man, bear, pig walking around, so that's pretty funny.
That's freaking great. I love it.
Yeah.
God bless those guys for revitalizing that place and keeping the doors open.
Yep. And they did it with their own flair too. So it's okay. It's an experience. The food was good. Took a little bit to get in, but other than that, everything was moved along swiftly, I'd say. But yeah, no, guys, tonight we are talking quarterbacks, as you see in the title. So earlier this week, last week, Justin put out his question of the week. Which quarterback do you guys think will have the highest fantasy score in 2025? Now you have to read the question. Which quarterback do you think will have the highest fantasy score in 2025 of the three quarterbacks he listed? And those three quarterbacks were Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Michael Penix Jr. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into it tonight. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but you know how we do in Fantasy Reports fashion. We go ahead and we hit you with that promo real quick. We'll hit you with that promo, and then when we come back, we'll just be kind of talking through those three quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Michael Penix Jr., and which of those three quarterbacks that we think will have a higher fantasy ceiling this season, or fantasy score, I guess, at the end of the 2025 season. So let's go ahead and get this promo, guys. Hit that like button. What up, Sam? Thanks for rocking with us. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that share button. Tell your friends. Maybe we can get Sam on here to join us too. But
hey, you never know.
Surprise. One of these days, right? But yeah, guys, keep rocking with us. Hit that like button. Help us grow. And when we, like I said, when we come right back, we'll be talking those three quarterbacks: Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Michael Penix Jr. So get it in the comments. Let us know who you think is going to have the highest fantasy scoring season. And let's get into it. So we'll get right back, guys. Yes. So yeah, like I said, we're going over Justin's question of the week, and every week, rolling to the NFL season, once it starts up, Justin will be putting out these questions of the week. So we'll have different questions around fantasy football, just kind of trying to boost up engagement and just showing you where we are and what we're talking about in the episode. So This week, that question was, which of the 3 quarterbacks do you think will have the highest fantasy football scoring season? So out of the 3 quarterbacks, it's Trevor Lawrence with the Jacksonville Jaguars. You have Justin Fields of the New York Jets and Michael Penix Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, he is the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, for those of you that have been under a rock. But yeah, Justin, I mean, I guess we'll just turn it over. I'll turn it over to you, let you kind of start, and then which quarterback maybe you wanted to start on, and then I'd be happy to give my input too, and then maybe after that we can talk about which ones, which one we'll think have the highest scoring season.
Perfect. Yeah. So the preference of this, I think me and Zed can both agree. This is not; these 3 quarterbacks are not guys you're heavily depending on to be your starter for your fantasy teams in 2025. They're most likely filling your roster spot either on the bench or as a fill-in for one of the other quarterbacks you may have drafted earlier in your drafts. But necessarily, all 3 of these quarterbacks have one thing in common going into the 2025 season. They're looking for a bounce back or a redemption year. In the sense of Michael Penix Jr., it's looking to get his feet underneath him, getting a full season of work in the NFL with the pieces he's got there on the offense. And for Justin Fields, it's about having another shot at being the starting quarterback on an NFL team and really proving to himself and his teammates that he's capable of holding up quarterback 1 numbers and being a startable fantasy asset for you in fantasy football. Whereas Trevor Lawrence, we're looking to just get healthy, and hopefully with the rotation of coaches again, it finally sticks with him this time and settles in, and he's able to find some success with his other options and weapons he's got there in Jacksonville, and hopefully for all 3 of these guys, raising their ceiling for fantasy purposes and maybe giving you guys a serious look at them on your teams in coming 2025. So where I'll start is where I think out of these 3 quarterbacks, the one will most likely have the lowest ceiling would be, for me, Michael Penix Jr. I think he'll have a fine NFL season. I think he'll do well as an Atlanta Falcon. However, I think for fantasy football purposes this year, this is officially his technically rookie season. So he's going to have that time in the offseason to build that rapport with his wideouts, get a better function and set routine with his offensive coordinator and coaches and personnel and preparing each week. I like his weapons he does have, though. I like Drake London and Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson, Algier, all those guys. I think they'll help factor into his progress from year 1 to year 2. I think they will definitely help him accommodate to taking that step forward in fantasy football. However, I do think he's handicapped between these 2 other quarterbacks in the sense that he isn't as mobile. He isn't known to be running. And in fantasy football, we'd like to feast off of those dual threat quarterbacks to get that rushing upside and those points there, either rushing touchdowns or rushing yardage. So for that, I think I have Michael Penix as my 3rd quarterback on this list. How do you feel about that? Or what do you think that Michael Penix has to gain this season, and what's still deficiencies in his game that's going to hold him back from taking an even higher step for fantasy football purposes for us?
Yeah, no. It's essentially, his first full season as a starter. So he'll be coming in with that on his shoulders as well, too. So hopefully he can connect, with the players off season. But yeah, I think just coming off that, I think he's going to be still getting acclimated to the NFL as well, on top of trying to get adjusted to that team. So I think it's right to have him at the bottom of that list, just because he hasn't done anything really too much. He looked okay. He looked all right, but he didn't really prove anything, anything other than, maybe he can be a starter in the NFL. So yeah, I see him throwing around 4,000 yards because he does have those elite weapons like London, Mooney. He does have that Bijan coming out of the backfield. He does have, they kept Kyle Pitts. So, another year with those guys all being together, he's just the new piece coming in. So, I think he's gonna have a pass heavy play call, or their game plan is gonna be pass heavy as always with them playing in a dome. So, like I see him getting, around, 4,000 yards. So not really a whole lot of rushing yards. I think maybe he can, get out and run if he needs to, but I don't see him getting more than a few hundred rushing yards. So with that being said, in fantasy football, rushing quarterbacks are key when you look at who gets the points. So I think that'll hinder him a little bit, just not having that rushing ability of like a Justin Fields and, kind of being a little bit unknown. We don't know if he is going to have that passing ability of a Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and I think with them relying more heavily on Bijan Robinson in the offense this year, this could take away even the opportunities for Michael Penix unless a play breaks down. His attempts for rushing the ball or running or whatnot, that's just not in his game. But I do like the potential of what Drake London could bring to Michael Penix is like bringing him up to a whole nother level and taking him to a spot in his game where he can benefit greatly as a player that you have sitting on your bench. I mean, I don't think that Michael Penix will utilize more than 2 wide receivers. I think it'll be the Drake London, Darnell Mooney show for the most part. I don't know of any wide receivers that they either got to the draft or accumulated in free agency that would be players that would impact greatly his performance or help him elevate his game. I think Michael Penix, one thing to help him take his next step from his few games he played last year is getting Kyle Pitts involved. I know it's a scarred topic in the fantasy football world to bring up, and there's a lot of people either, polarized of being out on Kyle Pitts or still believe it and still have hope in him. And I think the key for the Atlanta Falcons offense and for Michael Penix to really produce at a rate that we'd like to see going into year 2 is if he can unlock the tight end position, especially specifically in the red zone, having Kyle Pitts be a threat down there when they get in close and they can't punch it in with a Bijan Robinson or Tyler Algier, being able to find him in those green zones and maybe finding him over the middle to keep those chains moving. So, and I think Michael Penix Jr. can really elevate the fantasy value and stocks of those players. Like going into the season, right now you can get Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney and probably Drake London at more affordable prices for dynasty purposes right now, because we haven't really seen what Michael Penix Jr. is doing to, impact their value because it's the off season, we're down. But for redrafts though, I think Michael Penix Jr. is definitely a guy that you just need to keep an eye on if you're like looking to stash an extra quarterback for, in case of emergency, because he's a starting quarterback in a league that Seth and I have talked about is really subpar, below average as far as the defense goes. So there is points to be scored, there is points to be had, and I think in his position, if he maximizes his potential, he can really take advantage of that. So regardless of all that, I think he's got great weapons. He's got a good offense. I think the coaches will really rally around him in 2025 to really bring out the best in him. But at the end of the day, it's up to him to stay healthy and be that quarterback that they can rely on the Falcons to carry them to a playoff berth and carry your teams for fantasy relevance.
Yeah, man. And I mean, we saw it last season. You saw, both Drake London and Darnell Mooney just right there below 1,000 yards in receiving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kyle Pitts, even for not having a breakout year, he still had over 50 catches, over 640 yards, receiving. So, man, turn around and, add another, 100 yards to Drake London, add another, 200 yards to Darnell Mooney, a couple hundred yards to Kyle Pitts. that's not even, a 5,000 yard season on top of that, on what I was saying, what I had seen, what I feel like Michael Penix will have. So if he can unlock Kyle Pitts, and then even turn around and unlock it even further, unlock him in that red zone and use him how he's supposed to. Because Kyle Pitts is a field stretcher too, man. He can stretch the field for you. So you got Drake London, who you can use in the red zone. He's a big body receiver. But yeah, man, if they can unlock get Bijan Robinson, get another couple 100 yards out of him, probably like 4 or 5 more catches from him. That's probably some red zone catches right there. That's probably a couple more screens that has potential to take it to the house as well too. And we've seen what he does on screen. So
do you think they can do that for Bijan this season? Like, do you think that ups Bijan's value? Do you think he's going to be more of a pass catcher this year than last year, or do you think that's not going to probably be a factor for fantasy this year?
Well, I think they could, quite honestly, just because like we said, they're going to, want to make it, I guess, as easy as possible for him. So, he could have those dumb down passes right there, those breakoffs to
slow the game down, take the ball out of his hands. And that could, that's what hurts him in this evaluation between these 3 quarterbacks is if the game starts to get out of hand.
Well, if it's like a screen pass, right, it's still a pass, right? It still counts as passing yards. So it could help him. Or if it's, a shorter out route, that could only help him.
For sure. So that was our number 3 there, guys, Michael Penix Jr. So now at number 2, I don't know where Seth is going to be thinking I go with this, but I'm just going to put it out there. And I think that
let's take a promo first.
Oh, hey there. Yeah. I always forget about those things. Thanks, Seth.
It's okay.
That's why you're the bus driver.
Yeah, let's get that suspense going. We'll come back and we'll talk about your 2 and talk about my 2, and I think they may be the same, but
let us know yours, guys, in the chat.
Yeah.
Feel free to chime in at any time and catch us over on Discord and check it out there, or if others conversations started on Facebook and that group.
Anywhere, you guys, wherever you're watching that, tell us what you think about it. How do you feel about these 3 quarterbacks? Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix, and who do you think will have the highest score in fantasy season? We just talked about Michael Penix. We're gonna take a break real quick. We'll come back and we'll talk about the other 2. So hit that like button, guys. Hit that share button, please.
Yes, please.
Help us grow. We'll be right back.
My name is Anton Popoff, and this is my 6th year of college football. Training during the hottest times of the day is a recipe for muscle cramps, which is why electrolytes are so important. Hydration is crucial for my performance. Dragon Salt eliminates muscle cramps and boosts your overall energy level. Whether it's a weight room or field session, I fuel up with Dragon Salt beforehand. It's been a game changer for me, and it'll be a game changer for you.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to add too. I wasn't even thinking. I got Michael Penix as my 2nd quarterback, actually.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, that's fair. I mean, for me, it wasn't that far. Like the separation between these guys too isn't like drastic and huge. It's more like small little difference factors here that I have evaluated them out at is separating them. It's just as far as like the ceiling caps out, I just had Michael Penix at 3rd is like I think he has the lowest ceiling cap here, the lowest probably the points total scored out of the 3 for fantasy football.
Well, if we're talking about we're getting the points and stuff. So I have him. Well, yeah, I got him. Yeah, I guess I do have him. But
then you want to start with your 2nd then? If you had
yeah. So my 2nd, I do. Yeah, so I have Michael Penix as kind of my 2nd, I guess.
Okay.
And then I had Trevor Lawrence as my 3rd, even though he has some pretty awesome weapons.
We are here flip flops. So Seth had Michael Penix as his 2nd and Trevor as his 3rd. And we'll go right into talking to this guy because my 2nd was Trevor Lawrence. But I want to hear from you, Seth, why you have Trevor Lawrence at 3 under Michael Penix. and then we'll go into why I have
Trevor Lawrence don't run, but
true.
You know, so I got him around the quarterback 18 to 20.
Mm-hmm.
So like a mid-tier quarterback too. So probably, you know, definitely you want to have your starting quarterback before you get in Trevor Lawrence because
You had Trevor Lawrence at 18?
He'll let you down. I have him around there. Around 18.
Okay, I think I have Michael Penix at 20 to 22, I think, somewhere in that range. And I had Trevor.
Go ahead.
I
was just I had Michael Penix at 16 to 18, so really not too much.
we just have them flip flopped. I have Trevor Lawrence between 16 and 18, and I have Michael Penix 20 to 22. So
I mean, not too much of a difference between the two, as you can see. It could go either way. I mean, both of them have really a solid, you know, receiving cores, and Michael Penix could be argued to have, I think, just to have the more experienced receiving core. Whereas, you know, Trevor Lawrence has the flashier receiving core, you know, with Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter. And then you have, you know, De'Ami Brown that they drafted too, who's going to come in and give him some good depth behind those two. Because, you know, Travis Hunter is going to start some way, shape, or form when he's out there.
He's going to be on the field, yes.
Yeah, so I don't know why everybody's worried about if he can play both ways or not. It's like, man, he's training. He knows his body. He's 20-something years old. You know, who couldn't play a full game when they're 20-something years old? Like, let him do it. But you know, so I think they got rid of, you know, their subpar receiving core. It sucks that they don't really have a solid. Who's their tight end?
They lost Christian Kirk, and they lost Evan Ingram in free agency.
Yeah, and then they also released Gabe Davis like a week ago.
Yeah.
So they completely revamped their receiving core.
I see those are all valid points from you, Seth, as where of having them in that 20 to 22 range, because losing those fantasy, like those are all players we had on our teams last year. Those are all players we relied on fantasy to help get us points.
Not really Gabe Davis so much. He was hit or miss. But I mean, they added a pass catching running back too, so that can only help. You know, I know they had the issue with Etienne Jr. You know, with his injury issue, and then not really.
Do you see him having a bounce back year, or do you think he's going to be a slow decline and they're going to turn it over to Tank Bigsby?
You know, and that's the thing too. They have such a flooded backfield too. You know, it'd be hard to see it. Hopefully, it pushes Etienne to want to be better, but at the same time, he may just be like, "Screw this! I want to go to a team that's winning." You know, and try to pull a basketball move. So who knows? Who knows what we're gonna see out of Jacksonville?
So
Jacksonville. They're gonna Jacksonville. They're gonna Jaguar like
the East Coast Raiders to you.
Yeah, I love Jacksonville. That's my team. But you know, they extended Trevor Lawrence last year.
Yes,
and then
he got injured.
I didn't. I was gonna say how much of that was guaranteed, because I mean,
I think it was similar to Jordan Love's contract. They were both kind of like hand in hand, same years, about the same.
How much longer do you think they're gonna?
And then they both ironically got hurt after they got their bags.
Well, that's everybody that gets a bag. They ironically get hurt.
He weighs them down. Hey, Lamar Jackson's about to get his bag. You watch.
You gotta have a few months off to be able to enjoy that bag, right?
Gotta carry those bills.
Yeah, no, but you know, it'll be interesting to see how long they do invest in Trevor Lawrence, because I know they did extend him and all.
Do you think out of the three, he has the shortest leash?
Yeah, I think so. Well, not really. I guess
I agree with you. I think he does.
Well, he has a new receiving core,
but
too,
still, though, the injury history,
you got Mac Jones,
rotation of coordinators. Yeah.
So I see him getting around like 3,800 yards. You know, around 270, 275 range in fantasy points, so like 15 to 16 points in PPR points a game. So not really anything spectacular, honestly. Just kind of something you'd kind of wince at if you were using him as your quarterback in any league, quite honestly. I think you'd be kind of pissed.
I know I had him in a few leagues as my starter last year, and it really burnt me with him getting injured and just the sort of season he had.
Yeah, because, he's just kind of ho-hum, and then he may hit like 1 or 2 times or something, but nothing really serious. So it was frustrating having him. If you did have him or you had to use him as a starting quarterback, in which case, hopefully you don't have to. I think there's, 16 good quarterbacks.
I know.
Go and start first that you'll be able to draft first, in any league, unless you're in like a 18 team or 32 team league,
At some point, though, in your drafts, when you're coming to this fall, you'll be seeing these guys probably in the same tier, around the same area in your draft, and you'll have to make the decision of as your backup quarterback goes, who you want to roll with, what's upside do you see is higher, and what fits your team needs and what you want to build like better. So I see easily Trevor Lawrence finishing third out of these guys, like where you have him at. And I have him ahead of Michael Penix solely on the fact that like he has got that experience of like playing to get to the playing long enough in that league and having Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter both come in and really soak up targets and be the facilitators that you need them to be this year without having that tight end presence anymore of Evan Ingram. Those targets are going to go up. And I think whereas the Falcons could play not a lot, I could see the Falcons playing fewer from behind games, so they're relying more heavily on the running game, whereas I feel the Jaguars could be playing from behind a lot more this season, or playing more higher scoring required games that would require Trevor Lawrence to throw the ball more and increase the opportunities to have more points scored than Michael Penix. So that's kind of like the edge separator, is more like the team play than necessarily the player. I think Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix are probably about even in like the rankings and where they could be as far as ceilings. But like we say here, volume is king. And when you're playing from behind a lot, you got to throw the ball a lot more than when you're playing with leads. You're not taking as many risks or stretching the ball down the field, where the separating from having Penix at 3 and Lawrence at 2 is where I don't feel the Falcons are going to be like that this year in that division, playing from behind. I mean, they got to go up against the Saints and the Panthers, who are very beatable at the moment, if we're looking at what we saw from them last year, and then the Buccaneers are the Buccaneers. So that's one matchup that, they're going to probably have to huck it, chuck it, and go for it. Whereas, the division's gotten tougher for Jacksonville. They got a Titans team that got their quarterback this year and drafted pretty well. They got the Texans, and they're always, high flying, scoring points and all over the place with Joe Mixon, Stroud, and all those guys. And then the Colts, the Colts for some reason always play the Jacksonville Jaguars really tough and really close. And those games are usually, from what we saw last year, pretty entertaining and very fantasy relevant football games. So in that sense, that's where I have the separator between Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix. I think I agree with you said here is where they're very close to the rankings, and like what separates them is probably a couple passing touchdowns and a few hundred yards. They could probably have the same amount of times being sacked or interceptions, but for the most part, yeah, they're pretty much around the same or similar. So it's pretty cool that we have ours inversed, but we both have our arguments and our points that are valid and make sense for how we see these players out in 2 and 3. But with that said, we could get into our number 1 guy, which is evident after these two guys have been discussed after the promo here.
Yeah, let's do that promo real quick. And then, like you said, let's get into it. All you guys out there watching, man, there's a bunch of you guys on X. Hit that like button. All you guys hit that like button. We get a bunch of likes right now. So do it. But we get back. We'll talk about Justin Fields and how we see if, we're both, seems like we're kind of on the same mindset, like you said. So it'll be interesting to see what we have to say about him. So, guys, hit that like button, hit that share button. You're watching Fantasy Reports here on Shady Sports Network. I'm the bus driver, Cedric. That's the co-pilot, Justin. And we will be right back. Man, sometimes I think, it's funny there's funny stuff that you don't know, and you just have it stored in there like a computer.
Yeah.
Like, I did at my vet service center yesterday, we did a pet expo. And so there was a bunch of dogs coming in. And I'm just like looking at dogs, like naming breeds and mixes. Like, I don't even know how I knew this. I'm not a
you're just a dog whisperer said.
Right? Like, oh yeah, what's that boxer mixed with right there? Like, oh, is that a Pomeranian poodle? Like, I don't know.
Did Jordan end up bringing his pooch down there?
No. But we did have a bunch of we had a good amount of people show up.
Hey, that's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a cool turnout for having a bunch of different dogs. There's a few cats too. We brought our cat. Chip came.
Oh, cool.
Got vaccinated and got some cool snacks and stuff. But it was for having, usually you feel like if you have a bunch of animals in an enclosed environment, it gets all crazy, but they did a good job, man.
They get a little overstimulated, overwhelmed, the environment, and it can make for some interesting experiences, I imagine.
Right. And the vets from CSU veterinary school, and then
oh, cool. The college kids.
Yeah, the college vet school came down, and then there was a bunch of other organizations that were involved.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Gives them some experience and some out in the field work, and it helps you guys out too with your thing. So if you guys are ever in the area, follow Seth on socials and meet up with him at these events and do some good service there with him. And
right, hopefully we'll get some we'll get some sports events going. I know we just recently did something at the Rockies games. We had an event.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but I didn't go. Worst team in the league, bro. I'm not trying to.
hey, as a Rockies fan myself, it hurts. So.
It sucks, but you know what? Honestly, it's darkest.
Where's the basement? Like, where's the floor? Like,
right here.
Sitting here, sitting at where they're at in the standings. Like,
they're young.
Does it get any worse?
Young. They have a young team. Wait until those guys.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely. They're super young, and I'm just wondering, how far are they gonna fall?
I think firing Bud Black helps, even though it doesn't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think his voice was lost in the clubhouse and the it was just.
They I did not expect him. You kind of get used to the Rockies, kind of sucking, but I didn't expect.
I miss the days of the Bombers with Telton and Walker and all those guys.
Well, I think they. Oh gosh, they just need to sell the team, and they're not going to because
they're not.
Well, they still, sell pretty good amount of seats.
Yeah.
Especially when seats are $15-$20, you can go up to the rock pile for $10-$12 sometimes.
Wow.
People still go and hang out. It's especially when it's nice out, you can't deny it's a really nice place to be in that stadium. You just go kick it.
I definitely have to get back and go to a game because I missed it. I liked it when I was there last time. It was a blast. We were in the upper level, so we could see the mountains in the background and out in the outfield, seeing the ball soar. It was pretty sweet.
And that's it too. You get the views kind of, 75% of the seats you're sitting in, you get a decent view.
Hopefully,
it's kinda hard.
at some point this summer they start to like show some light, so show something. Because right now it is bleak. There is little hope. There is like
Well, it's kind of like the
lost, really lost feeling.
future of the Nuggets right there, man. Just
Oh no,
poor
He didn't-
scouting and poor team building. That's
yeah.
But luckily, I guess the Rockies do have some young players that look promising. But
See,
it's
that's
just,
the benefit they have is they're so young. Like they're so like it's
just
it
that when
could
they
be
had the
salvaged.
chance, when they had the chance, they didn't do anything. Like when they had the players, they just didn't get any other players on top of it. And then we've had what's his name for the past 3 years? Oh man, what's the is he an outfielder?
Who?
The guy
Jurickson. Who?
The one that hurt his back as soon as we brought him
in. Has he even been in the back? He's still hurt.
I think, dude, every game I went to last year, anytime he touched the bat,
he just shattered. He shattered not the bat.
He was just garbage. No, but okay, so
ooh,
what up, Damien?
Good question, Damien. Thanks for chiming in with us. This is great. I was actually wondering this too. I was pondering between some of my questions of the week. I was definitely in the direction of quarterbacks, but
Shador Sanders.
What?
They're gonna
for the
pick
Saints?
him up. Yeah, they're gonna pick him up after the Browns cut him.
So let's start with the ones that are on the roster. So right now between Tyler Shaw, Spencer Rattler, and I can't think
Why
of
didn't
the
they
third
draft Jackson Dart? That's so stupid.
I don't that yeah
Our
that was surprising to me why they took Tyler Shaw over him. I mean, I don't maybe they weren't so committed to at the time Derek Carr was still on the roster too, so they weren't thinking entirely that like they needed their future quarterback. But I mean, it was on the horizon. The writing was on the wall. It just I think that shoulder surgery really put the nail in the coffin for Derek Carr. Personally, for me, I think to start the year for the Saints, they should roll with Spencer Rattler for a game or two.
No, garbage.
True, very much garbage, but I don't feel like they should throw Shaw to the Wolves right away and have him like trial by fire because we saw how that worked out with Spencer Rattler last year. When Derek Carr was hurt, he got kind of eaten alive, and a couple of those primetime games and you're watching and you're just like, what is he doing here? This is ridiculous. So I didn't know if it was more front office decision-making or coaches, or if it was really that's the level of play of Spencer Rattler. I don't think the book is fully written on him. I think the jury's still out of what level of quarterback he's going to be for the NFL purposes. And if I put my GM cap on, I think I'd be more comfortable. Because so let's accept the reality here. Like the Saints probably not going 500 and making the playoffs. What do you think, Seth, right?
What? They're in the NFC South. You don't need to go 500 to make the playoffs.
So let's just say they don't win their division. They don't win
their
divisional games, and they don't.
What? Tyler Shaw is going to be the starter. They're going to give him the chance.
So you believe it's Tyler Shaw, which is fair because that's the one route to go. So if you're putting Tyler Shaw out there right away, you're expecting to make the playoffs?
No.
Win the division?
Maybe. You could. You could. You've seen it.
If you win the division, you're more likely to make the playoffs then because you'd be a division winner.
Yeah, you could in that division. That division's such garbage. All you need is your defense to hold up for half your games, and
you know what this tells me too. I got a sneaking feeling like Damien. I think Taysom Hill could be that gadget, still tight end or wide or quarterback, whatever the hell position he plays. Have him doing it like packaging still for him, but is there somebody still out there hanging out in the dark forests?
Oh yeah, right. This is Mr. Rogers' time.
I can see this happening. I can see them
just
all
being about him, huh? Well, what about this though? What if they start off with Tyler Shaw and they're
what a better mentor
winning
for a bunch
games.
of middling,
well,
low
I'm saying what if they're winning
quarterback.
games though? but they're not like winning games, right? Do you think they would then bring in an Aaron Rodgers?
I think they very much could bring him in after OT, like all this offseason stuff. Because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to do training camp again. He doesn't want to do all that foofa, whatever.
Hey, honestly, we're not looking at other stuff too. I mean, Jameis Winston could, request.
I thought he already has a contract with the Giants. Wouldn't he have
does.
to?
He could request a trade, seeing the situation.
It's just the NFL goes full Madden, just like, no, I'm just, this contract's
full NBA
done,
mode. Yeah, full NBA mode. Just start moving pieces around.
Yeah, so for the sake of the question for Damian Stentz, I think the successor, the replacer for Derek Carr for the 2025 season will be Spencer Rattler at the moment until they bring somebody in mid-season or at the start of this year, or they want to really hand over the keys to a rookie. I think Spencer Rattler is probably their best option to, roll with right away this year. Because, Damian's right. They're in salary cap hell. He's going to want like north of $10 million. It's just, it's a mess. And I think it's just going to add to the mess where the Saints need to do their best possible due diligence of trying to right the ship and get from underneath that. And I think Kellen Moore is a smart mind, and he's not going to fall for that stuff from previous regimes. And he's going to do his best to get them playing competitive football down in New Orleans again in his own identity. And I think that starts with really evaluating the quarterback position, because he used a quarterback himself, and he was a quarterback coach with Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, and Jalen Hurts. So he's really familiar and aware of the quarterback position with his experiences working with them. And I think that Spencer Rattler is just too raw and young to write off with only like 2/3 of his season under his belt. And in his defense, I think Chris Olave was hurt. Rashid Shaheed was out. Like, he didn't really have premier weapons around him when he was brought in. He was kind of in like just a hold the line kind of a situation and just, see this thing out into the season. So yeah, that would be my best estimate of what happens for the quarterback situation in New Orleans. And you think said it's going to be Mr. Tyler Shue?
Tyler Shue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be Mr. Shue.
One of us will be right.
Well, they do have Jake. Was it Jake Hayner? Jake Hayner was a pick.
I just read the comment. That's a good one.
Yeah. No, so but yeah, no. I think it's gonna be Tyler Shue. At least I think he's gonna get the chance to start off with the.
I definitely think it's gonna be a quarterback battle this offseason. I definitely think they're gonna bring the best out of each other, and they're really gonna have to make a calculated decision on what route they want to go between the two of them. I don't think it's really a clear-cut answer of like, oh, it's definitely this guy or this guy. But I see your argument with Tyler Shue, and I can definitely see a path of that happening. It just depends on, what route Kellen Moore and those guys want to go.
Yeah. I think they'll probably at least give him the chance to start because they saw the other two already and know what they can do.
When's their bye week this year, by the way? Have you seen that yet with their schedule?
No, I don't even care about the schedule.
Real talk said.
Care about the Saints schedule. No, but their bye week is looks like it's gonna be week 11.
Okay. I think that decision will definitely be made before week 11. I don't think they wait until the bye week to decide who their quarterback's going to be for the entire year. I think it's going to start out well for whoever is starting, and they're going to go through the whole season, or it's going to, fall apart all on its own. The Saints are a very enigma team this year for fantasy. Personally, I'm avoiding Saints for fantasy football purposes. I don't know about you, Said, so I'm not really tapped in on my projections of how the
You're not drafting any Saints players?
No. I'm avoiding the Saints. I'm kind of in wait and see mode. I'm willing to trade later on in the season for them, but I'm not willing to make investments in drafts or like off-season moves in other leagues for acquiring these players.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be looking at any.
I just feel it's higher risk than reward. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a reward there that could pay off, but I think overall the risk of it bottoming out is a lot higher than I'm willing to take.
Not even like Olave. Wait, is Olave still with the Saints?
Yeah, he's still with the Saints.
Let's see their roster.
It would have to be a real late draft. Like I'm talking like 7th, 8th round, maybe even
Kamara.
Like again, those are guys. I would probably take too, like later on in drafts. So
Juwan Johnson, I feel like he had a pretty solid season as tight end wise. I guess he could probably put him in like. Feel like really there's only like 4 tight ends in the league. I don't hear about the other ones at all, right? Like only 4 teams use tight ends. No.
Oh,
I forgot about that guy.
Yeah, I forgot about him too. I mean, he can still huck it, chuck it, right?
Hug it, check it.
Football.
I guess he can. I don't know if he ever could really. I mean, I don't know. People said.
Yeah, he wasn't the same after that injury. He kind of got deleted.
I know.
So,
weird.
do you want to get into our number one for the question of the week at quarterback? We both, surprise alert, we both have Justin Fields as our highest scoring fantasy football quarterback out of the 3 for the 2025 season, and said, let us know what you see out of Justin Fields this season. What's the potential? What's the ceiling? What does he bring to the squad? And what separates him from Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix for the 2025 season?
Yeah, so Justin Fields signed a 2-year, $40 million contract with the Jets, which is pretty good contract. And I mean, for the fact that it is 2 years shows that, they're at least willing to ride with him for this year, right? So, last year is really hard to go off of just because he didn't play the full season. He started the season, was in and out. Who knows who the starter was? Who knows when he played? So
He
can't really go off that season
first
with the
4 weeks for the Steelers. And then they handed the reins over to Russell Wilson, and then he became, day old bread.
Came in, just once every 4 games he come in for a play or two.
And I think that hurt his confidence. That hurt his pride, and it kind of made him feel like humbled in the sense of like, wow, this is what they really think of me. This is what they expect of me. So I need to push myself this off season to not show everybody in the fantasy community that quarterback. Show them what I was with Chicago when I was burning people and putting up 30-40 point games. As few as they were,
cool that he goes to a Jets
there.
team. Yeah, then he goes to a Jets team where it is shown as complete faith in him. I mean, yeah, he has Tyrod Taylor behind him, but that's really it. The only other guy that was going to challenge him retired. You know what the dangerous animal is? Said. What's that?
The one that's got nothing left to lose. I feel like for Justin Fields, this could be his last contract, his last opportunity as a starting quarterback. So he could mirror what we see with Jameis Winston, just hucking and chucking that ball, running all over the place.
Kind of, but still. I mean, I think Aaron Glenn's going to kind of hone that in and tone that down.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more closer to a Jared Goff type play out of him.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, but a mobile version of Jared Goff.
Like, can you see the world too of like with Trevor Lawrence? He's got that pressure on him. They got to like succeed and be, do well. Like he's got that pressure on him with that contract to perform and be a superstar on that team.
Being a first round pick, he has to, but also he has experience to look from in recent years, right? You can just look over at Baker Mayfield and see, like, hey, yeah, you take that time, you go to the second team, you look at Sam Darnold, you go to that second team and, you learn and you figure out what it was that you didn't get a chance to figure out being that first round pick and that savior for the team, So now going into this third team, now you know what it was, you know who you are and where you stand. And maybe there is pressure to want to win, which there should be as a quarterback, but there
Mm-hmm.
also is not pressure to want to win, if that makes sense. Like, he knows what he can do. He knows,
Mm-hmm.
what his skill set is. It's not
I don't think
coming
he'll
in
have
and
to
trying
play
to prove
hero
anything.
ball style
Yeah.
of football like he was
No,
doing with
not at
Chicago,
all.
where he was literally just trying to like put everything on his back for that team.
Not at all. They drafted Mason Taylor, who's a solid receiver out of
Mhm.
or tight end out of LSU. With Tyler Conklin, they have Garrett Wilson, who's quarterback proof. So
Mhm.
you got Mr. Wide Receiver right there. They drafted they have Xavier Worthy from the Chiefs. Malachi Corley. They have a decent, okay squad, and it just shows too, that hey, it's like, okay, well, we see where we stand, like even
Mhm.
with the mishaps with Aaron Rodgers, they were still kind of in the mix, even with, what's his name that came over to the Broncos. They were
Evan Ingram.
no the quarterback from the Jets.
Zach
Zach
Wilson,
Wilson. They were
but he's a
still in the
Dolphin
mix.
now.
Well, I'm just saying, like, even
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
those,
yeah. Yeah, I got you.
even with that type of quarterback play, they were still able to hang in that NFC East,
Mhm.
AFC East division. And you see, I mean, that division, it's, all you really got to do is, if you come in second in that division, you more than 9 times out of 10 got a spot in the playoffs. So,
Mhm.
this is kind of his chance to come in and prove that he does belong in the NFL and that he can hold his own and just get to winning, man. If I were him, I promise I'd just be talking to Baker Mayfield. I'd just be talking to Sam Darnold, all those guys, and just seeing
Mhm.
how they kept their
Good
head,
point.
even killed, and just kind of try to follow in their footsteps, and just kind of play a game because, yeah,
Mhm.
you maybe you did come in and you had everything placed on it, but what you came into was a crap situation. And now you're not in that situation. You don't have to play hero ball. You don't have to play savior, right? So,
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I feel like we'll see more of a mobile version of a Jared Goff type of play where we're probably even will see more, more thought out passes as opposed to just
Mhm.
playing on it, throwing it all over the field. Because I mean, heck, you got Garrett Wilson. Just look for him most of the time, right?
Mhm. Put the
Brees
ball
Hall's
in your
probably going to
playmakers'
step it up.
hands, and they'll do great
Yeah.
things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Brees
who?
Hall had 578 receiving yards last season, so and
Mhm.
76 catches, as a running back. So shoot, I look forward to him maybe getting closer to 100 catches this season.
I was just gonna ask you. Said who unlocks who in this offense? Does Justin Fields play in his presence unlock another level of Brees Hall
Mm-hmm.
and to elevate his fantasy value and his production going in 2025? Or does Brees Hall actually unlock Justin Fields by having that threat in the backfield of a guy who can bust a 70, 80-yard run
Right.
and having the defenses not look at like, oh, Justin Fields is going to run all the time. Oh, he's just going to scramble, and letting
Mm-hmm.
him be able to really dissect defenses and really read out plays concentratedly and thoroughly before making irresponsible
Hey.
decisions with the football that he did in Chicago a lot of the times, where you saw when he had to like end up throwing the ball, it was a lot of boneheaded plays. It was a lot of like
Mhm.
hero ball. But with the threat now of having a top 10 running back in the backfield, a top 5 wide receiver on the outside for you, and a
Mm-hmm.
rookie tight end that's supposed to be a really huge contributor early on since they moved on from Tyler Conklin to really help be a security blanket. I think they could really play off of each other and really benefit each other early on in the season if he can really get that security blanket going. That
Yeah.
being said, the separator from Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix to Justin Fields to me is that with Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix, I feel that their threshold for making bonehead plays is a little bit more likely than Fields, because like Fields has that experience in the league. He's got that cerebral. He knows when it's not working, how bad it's not working, and he knows when to bail on a play and to do the best possible option with his feet. Where I don't see Fields making as many mistakes as we saw as he did with the Bears. I think, and Aaron Glenn being able to watch him from afar during his Bears years and defending against him and knowing how he plays and knowing like what's going through his head and how he operates can help unlock that knowledge within him and a new confidence of like, hey, bro, I know this is how it went like this way. I recognize that, but if you do it this way, we can see you taking this team to like where you said possibly a playoffs or a winning season, taking them. I definitely see Justin Fields taking the Jets farther than what Aaron Rodgers did for them. I mean, granted, his season was marred by injured plague 2023, and in 2024 he resurged and revitalized in the second half of the year. But in that first half, he was really apparent that he's lost a step and he lost the edge, and he wasn't the same Aaron Rodgers as we knew he once was. And I think for the barometer of Jets expectations, I think that Justin Fields can take that team to a higher ceiling, and he can perform to a higher ceiling than where Michael Penix and Trevor Lawrence will this year. That's why I have him in my number one of most fantasy points scored.
Oh yeah,
season.
definitely. I think just having, like you said, who's going to unlock who, right? I could see Breece Hall turning into that CMC role and, getting, like I said, if he just gets, a few more catches, he's right there at 100 catches, right? So if he's getting the catches out of the backfield, if you have Justin Field, sneaking it out of the backfield, who do you cover? What are you doing in this offense? You still have to watch out for Garrett Wilson. Now you have to watch out for the tight ends too. You have to watch out for Xavier Worthy, who can stretch the field. What are you going to do? Because Justin Fields does have a big arm. He can get the ball down the field, right? So you have so many plays unlocked. And I think Aaron Glenn, we're going to see a level of play action that we probably haven't seen in quite some time in the league, to be honest. And
because the Jets weren't able to do that last year with Rodgers because he wasn't mobile. He couldn't move. Now they got a quarterback.
Yeah, he looked like when Joe Flacco was with the Broncos, man. You knew what was going to happen. He was just going to drop back.
You just got to stop it. And we'll see if defenses can do that this year or not.
And they still.
And I think what really puts him over the edge for both of us is his dual threat ability. Like, in fantasy football, like I said earlier, rushing ability is just as important as passing ability, if not more. Because, you got these quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson going up really high in drafts because they're separating themselves with their rushing ability of their rushing capabilities. And I think Justin Fields could sneakily rank at the end of the year higher than Trevor Lawrence and Michael Penix Jr. And one of the primary keys to that is him with his dual threat ability. I think it's going to be a dangerous team in the Jets this year. I don't think by any means it's going to be the hype and the phenom that it was with Rodgers, and that I think the tempered expectations should be a little bit back to reality for them and that fan base and that team of just like, I think having Fields there with Aaron Glenn as his coach, it'll just be like a breath. It'll be like a take a breath season of just like, okay, breathe. It's not all bad. We got something here, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Now, in the division, though, do you think that Justin Fields would be better, equal to, or worse than Tua?
Ooh. I think if he can stay healthy, he'll be better than Tua.
Okay. Will he be better, equal, or less than Drake May?
Dang. I don't know.
That's
I like Drake May. I like Drake May.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he'll be equal to.
So I was going to say, I can see him equal to. Obviously, Josh Allen, he's not going to be better than Josh Allen. So those are the three quarterbacks he's working with in the division. And two out of
He could be.
Yeah, he could.
I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched to say, he could totally be better than Josh Allen.
Yeah. So that's our question of the week, guys. Thanks for checking it out and hearing our thoughts on it, our inputs, and hopefully that guidance helps you for your drafts and for your fantasy teams, whether or not to calculate what sort of investment you'd like to make on these three quarterbacks. Again, Michael Penix Jr., Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Keep them on your radar. They could be players that help you in a tough pinch, and you could be surprised what they are capable of doing for you this year for 2025 in the fantasy season. So again, Sed had Trevor Lawrence at 3, Michael Penix at 2, and Justin Fields at 1. I had Michael Penix 3, Trevor Lawrence at 2, and Justin Fields at 1. So we both could agree on the number 1, the 2, and the 3. They could go either way. So again, thank you guys for checking us out for that question of the week. And I hope you enjoy this promo coming up that Sed's got cooked up, and then he'll let you know what we got going on the other side.
There we go. You right. Guys, hit that like button, hit that share button.
Yes,
we'll be right back.
How are you? Bring them things. I call the plug. Bring them things.
That's money. That's cash out.
Yeah, so before we get out of here, I mean, we touched on, we kind of went through the AFC East quarterbacks, but let's talk about these other two, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jr. Do you think Michael Penix Jr. will be better than or equal to Baker Mayfield?
I think actually he won't be equal to. I think he'll be less than Baker Mayfield.
Dang.
I think that Baker Mayfield has established himself as the number 1 quarterback in that division, and it's by a wide gap to this point before the 2025 season has started. But I think that Michael Penix has opportunity to close that gap if Baker Mayfield has more of a down year, or he's not as cerebral and prolific as he was last season. Like, Baker Mayfield has to be hyper efficient with his targets and his passing game, as well as he has that ability to rush and be a dual threat, not as frequent as like a Jalen Hurts or a Lamar Jackson, but we've seen it enough in his career that Baker Mayfield knows how to extend plays and keep plays going and be efficient with his opportunities with that ball in his hands that I have not seen yet with Michael Penix, and I don't think he has a part of his game as far as being that level of a play extender and being that dual threat quarterback. I think as much as they both are pocket passers, I think by a mile that Baker Mayfield is a more significantly better pocket passer than Michael Penix Jr. at this point. So therefore, I have Baker Mayfield well above Michael Penix.
Okay. Do you think Michael Penix is better than or equal to Bryce Young?
I think he's equal to. I think that's going to be a quarterback battle in the NFC South that I'm very interested in seeing and where those two develop going into this season. Of like, I think they're both at like that equal spot on the starting line. They both have the pitfalls of what we saw from them last year, and we've seen in the few games their flashes of where they can rise to. And I think that it's going to be a healthy competition and be an interesting battle to see who separates themselves out, because truly said, I think they're equal to. I think they're right there next to each other. If I had to choose one, I have a sneaking suspicion that I think Bryce Young is going to accelerate and take his game to another level this year, having Dave Canales as his offensive coordinator and bringing in Ted McMillan in the draft and having those weapons there too. I think that the opportunity to flourish for Bryce Young is a little bit higher than Michael Penix Jr.'s, and I think that Bryce. Yeah, hot take. I mean, it's a very close separator. It might be a photo finish here by the end of the year, but I'll be interested to see, and I'm going to keep track of for you guys over there on our Discord channel and our Facebook group throughout the year. Not that I'm on some NFC South bandwagon, but it's really a quarterback development battle that I'm interested in seeing throughout the season. And I will keep track of how their stats play out for fantasy throughout the year, where they're at with their numbers and the games and how they played, barring health, of course, because if one of them gets hurt or both get hurt, it's kind of a wash or a mute point. But I'll be really because it'll impact, because they're both young quarterbacks, and they'll impact for future seasons in fantasy whether or not you want to invest in them. I think this is the year, a pivotal year for both those guys and their development, and whether or not there be a player or a quarterback that you'd be willing to invest in by the end of 2025, or definitely going into the off season and into the 2026 season. Because if one or both of them has a bad year, are you realistically looking at both of them to even take a chance on next year if this year doesn't go well? Or do you would still have hope in Bryce Young or Michael Penix Jr. that they could get things going in the next season if this one doesn't work out?
Right. Bryce Young or Tyler Shue?
Bryce Young for sure. I think I like to take rookies with a grain of salt here and not give them their flowers before they've finished an NFL season. I want to see it, because at the end of the day, it's a different level of game from the college to the NFL. You guys are bigger, better, faster, stronger, and I want to see how they perform through an entire body of work through their rookie season. Like, as much grief and gruff I give Caleb Williams, the situation that he was in wasn't ideal, so I couldn't really evaluate fully where he is or what he is in his game. Like, I can talk smack and crap on him because, being a Lions fan and just, that whole aspect of it, but then also, seeing the results of his performances or where the expectations we have for him going into that last season up until now, the true barometer is going to be this season for me. Last season was Caleb Williams' rookie year, was what it was, the most sacked quarterback, poor time management, coaching staff was in shambles, and there was really no leadership on that organizational piece to get the best out of Caleb Williams and really justify him being selected as the 1 overall pick for the Bears that last year. It didn't translate well. So using that as kind of like a template for Tyler Show, like, I don't want to put him in that box quite yet. I have hopes that he will perform and he will do well with New Orleans, but I think similarly with Caleb Williams and the Bears, that the Saints could potentially hinder the development and the performance of Tyler Show, whereas if he would have went to another team in the league, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, because they weren't planning on using them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of seemed like a oh shit kind of a pick for the Saints. Like, because do you have time to talk about like what do you think they were thinking and why they chose him over Jackson Dart? Like, what is a separator there? Like, where do you think the thought process was? Because I think, are we both in the camp that they should have took Jackson Dart?
They were just Saints are gonna Saint, man. I don't think they didn't think they were gonna use the quarterback.
With, like, teams are gonna team. Like, we just have the team of the week that's just said, just Jacksonville's gonna Jacksonville or Saints are gonna Saints.
Well, I just think that they weren't planning on using Tyler Shue, quite honestly. So that's why they didn't go and get Jackson Dart or somebody like that, because they didn't think they would need to get him.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I was just writing that idea down for keep that in mind.
Yeah, they just didn't. I just feel like they just didn't think that they were going to have to use a quarterback.
Yeah,
a rookie quarterback at least this season. You
feel like they were blindsided by the Derek Carr situation, or like, do you think that they had it figured out? They just didn't think it was going to be this soon.
Tank for Arch Manning. I think that's the goal.
Do you think that they realistically could do that this year?
Yeah.
So, okay, if you're tanking for Archie Manning, then I see putting Shaw out there right away over Spencer Rattler, because
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
Now
do
that's
that.
all making sense. Now let's put that out there for me. That tank for Archie Manning.
Tank for
It all
Manning.
makes sense.
Tank for Arch.
Do you think they have a shot at the top 5 pick, the top
Yeah,
3,
they
or
totally
where do you
do.
think Archie Manning goes in the next draft?
Number 1.
Okay. So
Number
you think
1,
they have
2,
a healthy
3.
shot at it? I think they have a healthy shot at the number 1
Oh
overall
yeah,
pick.
totally. Oh, they totally do. I think all day. I don't.
Hell yeah!
think for sure.
How many wins do you think they get this year, Seth? I'm
Gosh,
saying
if
their
they got
ceiling
Tyler
is
Shue.
6. I think their
Gosh,
ceiling
yeah,
is 6.
right. 4.
That 4 is their ceiling.
Yeah, they get 4 wins.
So what's the basement? What's the floor? If they're winning 4 tops,
I think. Yeah, I could see the Saints winning because they won 4 in a row last season, right? And then
Yep.
they didn't win another one.
and they
for
win a
like
single
5
game.
more weeks, right? So I think the Saints, man, their floor is going to be 2 wins. They'd be lucky if they get 2 wins.
If Kamara leaves or gets hurt, absolutely, man. I think he alone is going to help get them 2 wins this year. And
Well, let
the
me see
other
their schedule. Hold on.
Here we go. While you're doing that, I just think, if Kamara gets hurt or whatever, like there's 2 wins gone away, and like they can win a couple in the division, like steal some of those. So that's 2 there, so 4. Like I think their floor is about 3 wins, and their ceiling is 6. I don't really have an optimistic view of their potential outcome for this year because, like we described with the Falcons and Michael Penix earlier, is that I think that the Falcons are going to get better. They're going to be better this season. And the Carolina Panthers drafted better. And they're going to be better like the Falcons. And they're going to have a better season. And then the Buccaneers are the standard of the division. So they're going to be up there up top. And it's going to be an uphill climb the entire time for the Saints. I think they'll get bullied around by the Buccaneers. And that'll be 2 easy losses. I think the Panthers can, get their game with them. And the Falcons get their game with them at home, and I think the Saints could split that series. So
I don't even know if they could split that series. I don't see a game they could really win.
That's being like optimistic. Like I'm not putting money down on it. I'm not confident about it, but like the NFL is weird sometimes, and you have these teams that get wins and you didn't see how or like
the NFL. That is true. That is true. So. I got them beating the Bills on the 28th. I got them. And they could, they realistically could split with every team in the NFC South. They could split with the Buccaneers. They could split with the Falcons. They could split with the Panthers, like you said. Realistically, they could maybe even beat one of those teams twice just off their defense.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but that's going to be a long stretch, though. I think those are the only games I could see them winning. I mean, they play the Rams. I don't know how easy that'll be. Maybe if they play the Dolphins without Tua, maybe they can get a win there.
So those are 2 losses right there.
Mm-hmm. The Cardinals, maybe week 1 against the Cardinals, they could squeeze that one out depending on which Kyler Murray shows up, if he's playing video games or not.
Well, there's no Call of Duty coming out this year. There's no new one.
Okay, so just
that might actually be an L. Then I think the Cardinals take it.
Yeah, yeah. See, so you just don't know, but I don't see too many wins. I don't know if they could beat the 49ers, maybe because the 49ers kind of depleted their offense. So maybe their defense could
maybe
a field goal game. Maybe they can squeak out one more field goal. Taysom Hill can get a sneak in somewhere. They get a win there. Patriots, I don't think they're gonna beat the Patriots at all.
Yeah.
They play the Bears. I don't know about that.
For fantasy, if you have team defenses as an available roster slot, are you targeting picking defenses? Like if you're in the strategy realm of streaming defenses and not just drafting one out of the draft, are you recommending or thinking that it might be a safe floor strategy to target the Saints defense or the Saints offense to have your defense play against in fantasy.
Hey, if you're streaming defenses, you could do it, especially with the teams they're playing. You'd be able to probably pick up those defenses every week, man.
You heard it here from Ced. So, like, for those weeks, the Cardinals are playing the Saints, pick those boys up. Patriots playing the Saints, pick those boys up. 49ers, pick them boys up. So, I'm in the same camp with you, Ced. I feel like take advantage of the Saints this year for fantasy football. And if you have team defenses that you start, we recommend that strategy of streaming them against them. Is there any other team similar to you that you could stream against if you have team defenses that you would target?
Probably. The Raiders.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
All right. Stream the defenses playing the Raiders every week. You'll be good.
His Raiders are gonna Raider.
His Raiders are gonna Raider. What is this?
How you feeling, Ced, with where we're at? We got anything else cooking up here?
No, I think we just probably.
I guess it's been a pretty good episode.
Heard around. I think with that being said, it sounds like it'd be good to maybe come out with our way too early quarterback rankings next Sunday.
Ooh, how do you guys feel about that? I like it. Let's do it. Way too early quarterback rankings. I know Ced you showed us a little clip from somebody last week. I don't remember the guy's name, and he had his rankings, but a little homework for you guys, a little project we'd like to see over there on our socials at the Fantasy Reports Facebook group and the Fantasy Reports category channel in the Discord on Shady Sports Network talking content. Please put in your quarterback rankings for 2025 for fantasy football. And we'd like to share those over here on the show live on the episode with us. And we'll like to comment on them over there on our socials and get a conversation going and really break down these quarterbacks and how we're feeling and thinking about them going into the 2025 season. So little to-do list for you guys.
There you go.
Not too bad. What do you think, Ced?
I like that. So yeah, get us your quarterback rankings. Let us know who you got on top, who you got, falling towards the bottom of your rankings, where you got these quarterbacks going, these new quarterbacks that have come in. We got old, top.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if you guys have Michael Penix or Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence on your rankings list. I look forward to seeing, Ced, if you got those three guys that we talked about tonight on there. It should be interesting to see everyone's lists.
Yeah, it'll be real interesting to see what you guys have and what we have. Justin, as always, I'm looking forward to seeing your list too. So that'll be a good one to do for next Sunday. We'll have our quarterback rankings here on Fantasy Reports.
Absolutely. And if anyone wants to join with us live next Sunday, feel free to do so. Hit us up on our handles, and we'll get into contact with you and be more than happy to.
Yeah. Very true. All right, yeah. Jump in our Facebook group, jump in the Discord group, Fantasy Reports. You probably search it on all your social medias, or look up Shady Sports Network, and you'll find us on there under Fantasy Reports. And as always, we're here every Sunday at 7 p.m. ready to get you ready for your season, your drafts, whatever fantasy information you need. We got it. I feel you. Yeah, but I don't think I have anything else, Justin. I don't know, unless you have something else you want to touch on.
Just some interesting news. It'll be our inaugural season for this element to our episodes, to our shows. I know we talked about at the end of Fantasy Reports last season, but this season we'll be adding a voice channel element to our show during the NFL season. So you'll be able to catch me over on Discord in our voice channel room, going over, talking about games, doing some Q&A, and just having some, sports talk during the games, having some commentary, having some chit chat, really, just the camaraderie with you guys and us between the shows. So the first one of that will be when the Lions play the Chargers on the Hall of Fame game at the end of July. So I will be doing a live voice channel, just meet and chat, hang out, talk about the game and our aspirations for the NFL and for our fantasy teams going forward, and a good little hangout there during the game. So feel free to join in and check in with me and do that together. If you got a free evening and want to add a little element and a little camaraderie to your watching of football that night. Who knows? Maybe Seth pop in, Sam, any of the guys here on the network. So it is a free and open forum for you guys to come be a part of.
Mm-hmm. And who knows? Maybe I'll go live on TikTok and join in on it too. And we'll try to load up and get fantasy reports at you guys from every location. So just keep.
You're gonna be seeing us a whole hell of a more this year than we were last season. We're coming in like a wave. It's the orange and blue wave. Fantasy reports.
Orange and blue wave came in like a waterfall. That's a song, right? It came in like a whatever it was. But anyway, I guess keep rocking with us.
See us on Sunday. What do you got? Bus stop on Thursday? What do you got next, Sed?
Yeah, we got the bus stop coming up this Thursday at 6 p.m. on Shady Sports Network. That'll be me and Static. We'll be talking, going over this Nuggets loss. Breaking down the Nuggets off season, what we feel like they should be doing, and then just continue to talk about the rest of the playoffs too. We still have your Timberwolves going on to the Western Finals to play OKC, so we'll see how that goes. We have on the other side, we got the Knicks and the Pacers for the first time, and
gosh, what year is this? Teams. Isn't that spicy?
Yeah, so we'll see who's gonna lose from the East in the NBA Finals, but we do have the Knicks and the Pacers who made it. And man, I'd love to have Jalen Bronson. But yeah, no, that'll be Thursday on Shady Sports. That'll be on the bus stop, and then Wednesday night, we'll have our Entertainment Football League interviews as always at I believe that's at 8. Yeah. I believe
if you're interested, guys, please check out Stead on those other shows. Give them a like, give them a follow, and join in on the conversation. Say hi. They appreciate it. Would love to have that engagement.
Yes. Appreciate all the engagement. So thank all of you guys for watching. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that share button. Those of you guys out there watching. Like I said, especially those guys out there on X and Twitter. Hit that share button.
Thank you, everyone on X land or Twitter land. Thank you for tuning in with us. And if you're new, thank you for joining in, giving us a chance, sharing all your comments. Thank you, Damian. You're an awesome supporter of the show. I appreciate you chiming in the chat, and always appreciate it. It's always welcome. I love it. And if you guys do, after tuning in, just please spread this around and get this out to people who you feel would be interested in some of the content of fantasy football and getting them ready for the seasons coming up in 2025. Following tonight, I'll come out with another nice, fun, short video for you guys to check out over there on the socials as far as another question of the week. And we won't touch as much base on it as much as we did tonight on Sunday, because we'll go over our quarterback rankings on Sunday, and we'll just briefly, incorporate the question of the week onto the show. And to keep it going, the conversation going with the question of the week on our socials, you can find it up on our socials. We'll post it there, and you can chime in and give your input and your answers as you feel like it. So that's all I got for you said tonight. Other than that, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And I just want to say, because I won't be on the bus stop on Thursday, that I still think, despite the deficiencies, great season for the Nuggets. I see a light at the end of the tunnel, but I feel that you guys did great for losing your coach at the end of the regular season and barreling through the first round of playoffs and taking the OKC to 7 games in this round. And I truly hope, this is no sarcasm, I really hope that they guys can bounce back and make it to the Western Conference Finals next year and make a strong competitive push to win the ship again, because they are that caliber of a team. They have that DNA in them, and that they're more than equipped to make that run. It's just how they're going to build that team and how they're going to establish that roster.
Well, if we weren't fighting the refs the entire series, we probably could have.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it, but
it's hard when you're fighting the refs and literally watching the ball get knocked out of the player's hands, and the refs just like, "Oh, cool, I don't see that, but let me call a foul in the same play." Literally watch that happen multiple times this series, but it's okay. It happens. We'll say it's because we don't have our coach.
Just paying my respects to you guys. So
I know. Thank you. I'm just saying. Yeah.
I personally had Nuggets in 5, but
Nuggets did win in 5, but the refs won in 7. So
Facts.
You know,
That's okay. You know what, Said? We'll do you one. The Wolfpack. We'll put Shay and those punks in their place and send them packing in 5. Wolves.
Yeah,
in
I
5.
guess I'll join
What?
on the Timberwolves
What?
bandwagon for the rest. Now that I don't have a dog in the fight,
You don't have a wolf in this fight?
I'll
Huh?
jump behind those pups and let them pull
We
me to
appreciate
victory.
all the love, all the support. We'll get you howling by the end of the NBA playoffs. We'll get you howling.
Hey,
There'll be a
there we
Wolves
go.
fan. You watch. We'll get them.
There we go. So yeah, guys, keep rocking with us. Like he said, catch us next Sunday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Shady Sports Network for fantasy reports. Thursday night, I'll be at the bus stop on Shady Sports Network, and then Wednesday, I'll have the interviews. But you can always watch our reviews on YouTube, Discord, Facebook, wherever you go to social media. Search Shady Sports Network, and you can catch us.
It always helps. Every view helps. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you want to check out the merch store on Shady Sports Network, I think do you have all that stuff up there said for fantasy reports yet, or is it still just network stuff?
It's getting there. I don't know if I think he put it up on his website
Stay
yet.
tuned.
But I haven't
Stay
heard
tuned.
from
We're gonna
that
have
yet.
some show gear coming up. Coming up soon.
It's already we have it. As you guys saw, we have it ready to go. It's just once the website's active. So hopefully it'll be active soon. You'll be able to go over there and check out that gear. We do have the Shady Sports Network gear up though, so
yeah,
you can always go check that gear out for sure. On
rock
our
us wherever
website,
you go.
on
We
all
get
social
more
media.
eyes on us. We can get more content out to you guys, and we appreciate it. We appreciate all the love and the support because helps keep the lights on, the things operating. If you partake in making the purchases over there on the merch store.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So yeah, guys, keep rocking with us. And it was a great night. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that share button, guys. And first and foremost, thanks for supporting us, over here at Shady Sports Network. We appreciate you guys just, coming out and continue to watch us every week. So we do it for the love of the game, and we like to think that you guys love the sports as well. So keep it rocking, keep hanging with us, and we'll be back next Sunday. Until then, have a great weekend, guys, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Sleep well, guys. Sleep well.
Yes. Go Nuggets, go Broncos, go Wolves.
Go Avs, go Colorado Spartans if you want to watch some of their games. When's their next game up? Give them a holler.
They'll be back home, I think, next weekend.
If you're in the Denver area, check them out. Salmon said it was a good, fun experience. Definitely worth it.
It was a fun game. So, guys, keep rocking with us. Until then, have a great night, guys, and it's been real.
Go Rockies.
Hey.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.